All right, today we are diving deep into an incredibly powerful poem, Stephen Spender's An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Now, you gotta remember, Spender was writing back in the 1930s, a time when the gap between the rich and the poor was just enormous. And as a guy with some pretty strong socialist beliefs, he wasn't just writing poetry to be pretty. He was using it as a weapon to try and change the world. This poem, it's his furious argument against a system that he saw trapping kids in poverty from birth. So let's get into it.
Spender kicks things off with this one absolutely haunting line. Far, far from gusty waves these children's faces. Right out of the gate, he's creating this massive wall of separation. I mean, think about what gusting waves make you feel. Energy, freedom, the power of nature, right? And that repetition, far, far, just hammers home how completely and totally cut off these kids are from all of that life, all of that vitality.
And that really forces us to ask the central question that this entire poem is built around. If they're so far from that world of freedom, what world are they actually trapped in? Well, the first stanza does not pull any punches. Spender just throws us right in, painting this devastating picture of the kids' physical and emotional state. It's a world that feels completely starved of hope.
Spender basically takes us on a tour of the classroom, making sure we see these kids as individuals, each one crushed in their own specific way. He calls them rootless weeds. Just think about that, something unwanted, neglected. We see a tall girl whose head is literally weighed down. You can just feel the burden of her poverty. Then there's the unlucky heir, who instead of inheriting money or land, he inherits his father's gnarled disease. And way in the back, there's this one little dreamer, maybe the only tiny flicker of hope in the whole room.
But honestly, the most gut-punching image might be this one, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes. Just let that one sink in for a second. It's brutal, it's unforgettable.
So let's really break down what he's doing with this metaphor. Paper-seeming. The boy is so thin, so malnourished that he's almost see-through. He's fragile. And then rat's eyes. That's not just about what they look like. It's about a life of constant gnawing hunger, of fear, of always having to be on high alert just to survive. And this is where the poem gets really, really twisted. Spender shifts our focus from the kids to the classroom itself, and he reveals this deep, painful irony, this huge clash between their reality and these so-called inspiring things hanging on the walls. Even the room itself is decaying. The walls aren't a nice, bright white. He calls them sour cream. Just think about that image. It's faded, it's off color, it's gone bad, it screams neglect. And everything on these walls, they're donations, hand-me-downs, not a real investment in these kids' future. And here's where the two worlds just slam into each other. On the walls, you've got this bust of Shakespeare, a symbol of high culture. You have pictures of beautiful, flowery valleys. You've got a map showing a whole wide world of opportunity. But what's the reality? Right outside the window? A future that's nothing but fog, a narrow street that seals them in, a sky the color of lead. These decorations aren't inspiring, they're a cruel joke. So at this point, you can feel Spender's tone shifting. He's not just a sad observer anymore. Now he's getting angry. He is furious at this injustice. And he just comes right out and says it. So why is Shakespeare wicked? Why is the map a bad example? Because they are dangling this beautiful, unattainable world right in front of these children's faces, a world they have zero chance of ever reaching. It's a kind of psychological torture. In fact, Spender makes a really shocking argument here. He says, these images are doing more harm than good. Instead of making the kids want to work hard, he suggests it might just tempt them to steal, to break the law out of pure desperation, just to get a tiny piece of the world that society has locked them out of. And just in case we'd forgotten just how bad their situation is, Spender hits us with another round of absolutely shocking images. Their homes aren't homes, they're cramped holes, like animal dens. They literally live on a slag heap, a pile of industrial garbage. Their bodies are so thin their bones are peeking through their skin, and their glasses are broken, mended pieces of junk. It's a vision of total and complete poverty. Okay, so after all of that darkness, you might think there's no way out. But Spender doesn't leave us there. The final stanza is a massive pivot. He stops describing the problem and starts demanding a solution. It's an urgent, powerful call for a revolution. Yeah, he stops talking about the problem and starts talking to the people who can fix it. He literally calls them out by their titles, the governor, inspector, visitor. He's basically pointing his finger and saying, hey, you, this is your fault, and you're the ones with the power to change it. And he doesn't just yell, he gives them a clear 3-step plan. First, break the barriers. Literally, break open the windows of the slum, which he compares to catacombs, tombs for the living. Second, connect them with the real world, with nature. Show them what green fields and gold sands look like. And third, give them a real education. Let them dive into books with passion and freedom to soak up knowledge and find their own voices. So you have to wonder, how does Spender make this all feel so real, so powerful? Well, it's all about his poetic toolkit. He's a master of language. Let's just quickly look at a couple of the key tools he's using here. First up, the simile. Super simple, right? It's just a comparison using like or as. But look at the power in that line we saw earlier. Their mended glasses are like bottle bits on stones. In an instant, you get this perfect, gritty picture of something that's broken, sharp, and basically useless. And then you've got the metaphor, which is a direct comparison. And this poem ends with maybe one of the most beautiful and powerful metaphors in all of literature. History theirs whose language is the sun. Now, obviously, he doesn't mean the literal sun. The sun here is a metaphor for warmth, for energy, for enlightenment, for knowledge and freedom. And this is his final, explosive, hopeful statement. He's saying that the future, history itself, belongs to the people who are empowered by the light and warmth of a true education, of real freedom. It's a radical idea that, yes, a better future is possible, but only if we break down the walls and let the sun in. And that leaves us with one final and, I think, really important question. Spender wrote this a long time ago, but his call to action feels like it could have been written yesterday. So it makes you think, what are the modern-day slums of inequality, whether they're in education, or the economy, or society, that still need to be wiped off of our maps? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.